okay, maybe I'm a hater, or I'm just trying to make sense of this from a therapist's point of view. So I've been seeing these videos of like a recap of these live sessions where young girls are getting advice from other women on how to trick. And I think it's kind of interesting because I hear, and I mean, of course, certain people say certain things. So I'll hear young girls talk about how, like, the way their mom talks to them, the advice, etc., is too much. It feels abusive and all these things. And they feel like that their moms didn't aspire to do anything or didn't do anything with their lives. So why would I take advice from them? When I hear and see young girls take advice from somebody about tricking and kind of telling you what steps to take, wear your hair a certain way, and what you should be possibly getting, and especially in South Florida, in Miami, on 79th, which is like, if you, in my opinion, 79th year in 79th in Miami, I'm not in Miami anymore, but 79th in Miami reminds me of 79th and Jeffries in Chicago. So for anybody from Chicago or been to Chicago and been in that area, it'll start clear. You'll be like, oh my God, why would you be there? But taking advice from somebody doing that, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is, like, sort of the outcome. And I guess I'm thinking about it this way. When I was in my master's program, I took this course. The forensic courses were required, of course, in order for you to graduate from the program. So social violence, deviance, and aggression. And we had to do a final presentation in a paper. So I did mine on the psychological and social factors impacting street level sex workers. And some of the research, of course, was related to, coming from an abusive family, things like that. So I'm not undermining that those things don't impact, and they kind of help perpetuate the thought process of wanting to be a part of certain type of lifestyles. But other things was just like, women just trying to make extra money, balancing, trying to take care of their children. And that was like a easier route, especially if one was, if they were, at this time, I don't think the term undocumented was used, but some unfortunate women in those type of circumstances, and of course, family members selling children, etc. And one of the things that was also what I want to, like, focus on is the outcome. Is, what is the long-term outcome, right? Because I think what I'm getting from this is a lot of women are looking for shortcuts for long-term outcomes, but it's not quite adding up. I feel like if you're going to do a shortcut, then you should be thinking it's going to be a short outcome. And some of the advice that I'm watching from these live session recordings is that's kind of the advice given, like, hey, you only be in it for a while and then you need to get out. But you don't know if you'll actually get out. And what I'm adding is that the research was saying the haphazard, or the life expectancy, particularly for even Black women, was much shorter than those street level workers who were white. And sort of putting yourself in that position to thinking that you are going to live this lavish life during a shortcut type of experience, in my opinion, it's not adding up. I'm not here to tell anyone what they should and should not do. I just, think about how maybe, yes, in some circumstances, of course, we know abuse is happening at home. I don't think that every mom who has spoken to their child in a way, and their child has, engaged in this lifestyle, has come from a place of abuse or anything. It may sound painful because of the conviction that maybe mom is speaking. Maybe she gave a affliction in her voice and her tone, and maybe it was some cursing. However, it probably was a lot of fear and anxiety in her speech as her way of trying to protect you from going into such lifestyle, because either, yes, she probably have done it, or maybe she just want to just prevent you, and she's just evoking a lot of fear in her anxiety, projecting it because she has probably seen people engaging her. She probably just wants you to avoid that at all costs, and the best way possible. And maybe it's not coming out the best way. And of course, in those moments, I love when I see moms and daughters kind of come into therapy and we talk about those, the way to communicate. But also understand that, like, you gotta have a bit of awareness that, like, hey, this is something that is important to me, and this doesn't have to be a lifestyle, because having your own and being able to have your own finances and doing your own thing, it really is valuable. And is I just think that, like, it kind of allows you to kind of just know that you can navigate the world in multiple avenues. But I could be wrong. I mean, if that's, again, what you may be thinking, I'm trying to figure out what is the complete outcome that you are expecting from this. Because if it's just like a Chanel bag, or you want to go on a trip or something like that, I mean, what happens, like, okay, you get the Chanel bag, then what? Or you go on the trip is going to end, then what? I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to figure this out and gain some insight that doesn't allow you to believe that you're going to have this sort of fairy tale experience. And I know society has played a particular role into that. Even when I think about my own life, like, society has impacted a lot of us, a lot of people, men and women. I mean, even when I think about a lot of things in my own, issues, the more that I did, and this is the term that I call it, the more I did dumping for myself, even for my own, my mind and my body and my spirit, it felt different. But a lot of the impact was from, like, societal expectations and thoughts and opinions, and and me competing, trying to make sure that I was reminding myself of my mom's voice and my great grandmother's voice. And I'm so glad that I was able to fight against that. It wasn't easy, no, because a lot of times I was by myself trying to figure out the world. So I get that on a very personal level. Now, as a professional too, I can't ever tell a person what to do with their life. And therapy is not about giving advice or telling people what to do. You can make suggestions, you can give recommendations, but that is it. People are supposed to choose, because that's coercion if I'm telling you exactly what to do. And I'm not throwing shade to anybody who gives advice or telling one what to do. I'm talking about from someone who is licensed, regulated. We're not allowed to give advice. I can't even tell you to divorce your spouse, your significant other, or emancipate yourself as a child, or any of these things that are wild. And it's crazy because when I see some young, I've been getting a lot of young people between the ages of 20 and 25, and a lot of them are now reflecting back on how much they should have listened to their parents. Again, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do or say that, like, your parents were always right or anything of that nature, but parents, they do get some insight in the world prior to having you, and they may be aware of all the mishaps that they have, and they just want the best for you. So all I'm saying is that I think a lot of young girls who may be listening to some of these women really reflect on, was mom really trying to help you, or are you misinterpreting what is being said? And maybe you need to go back to check yourself about mom's advice, and comparing what you're getting online from a total stranger who wants to big sister general you into a lifestyle that you are not completely aware of what that life expectancy should be. Because we all are looking for a long-term life expectancy that is fulfilling. And you have to really take some time to reckon with yourself if that's really what you're getting out of this experience. Okay. I hope that was helpful.